Today's lesson is A Man of Ups and Downs, The Wild Life of Nicolas Cage. Hi, everybody. My name's Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to be talking about a celebrity by the name of Nicolas Cage. This guy is a little older than most popular celebrities these days, but he has a long history of making movies and doing other things, and his life has had a lot of ups and downs, high points and low points.
That's right. He's been nominated for Oscar awards, and he's also famous for doing a lot of B-movies, these sort of low-budget movies that go direct to video or DVD. He's had quite an interesting career. Also, just as interesting has been his personal life. He's had ups and downs in his personal life, as dramatic as he has had in his career. So we're going to have a two-day look at Nicolas Cage, and no matter what you think of him as an actor, as a performer, you are certainly going to be entertained by his wild life. So let's check it out. A Man of Ups and Downs, The Wild Life of Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is a man of many talents, actor, producer, and director. But perhaps what he's best known for is his larger-than-life personality, which has resulted in countless memes and made him a much-loved celebrity. Let's take a closer look at the life and career of this iconic star.
大家好，标题中我们可以看到片语 ups and downs， 它的意思是起起落落、起伏兴衰。例如 Ben weathered the ups and downs of the entertainment industry to come out on top. Ben 熬过了演艺圈的起起落落，才出人头地。又或者说 The couple's 20-year marriage has experienced its ups and downs. 这对夫妻20年的婚姻经历了起起伏伏。另外补充一个同样采用两个反义字而组成的片语 pros and cons。Pros, P-R-O-S, cons, C-O-N-S, pros and cons. 它的意思是利与弊，或是赞成和反对的理由。例如 Before accepting the job offer, Melody worked out the pros and cons of changing careers. Melody 在接受这项工作机会之前，研究了转换职涯跑道的优缺点。或是 You should list all the pros and cons to help you make a decision about renting the apartment. 你应该列出所有的利与弊，来帮你决定要不要租那间公寓。
Okay, it's time for us to discuss the first part of our lesson. The title is A Man of Ups and Downs. Oftentimes we put opposites together to talk about the range of things in life. Tell me the ins and outs of surfing, Mike. I know you like surfing, so you can tell me all about it.
Absolutely. There's a lot of good and bad to the sport of surfing, and I can talk about the really amazing things and also at the entire opposite end of the scale, the really terrible things. And that's kind of what we would describe as also talking about the ups and downs of your life, your great triumphs and your terrible tragedies.
That's right. So indeed, that's something that's being used to describe Nicolas Cage. So he's had a wild life doing all sorts of weird but wonderful things. And here in the first paragraph it says, Nicolas Cage is a man of many talents. You know, he can do lots of things. He's an actor, producer, and director. But perhaps what he's best known for is his larger-than-life personality, which has resulted in countless memes and made him a much-loved celebrity. So if you're known for something, that's how people know you. That's why you're famous. And we're putting the word best in here for our emphasis. He's best known for his larger-than-life personality. That's how he's most famous, because he's got this rather extravagant personality. He's not really known so much for his acting or producing or directing, but he's more known for the unusual things that he does.
That's right. That's kind of how we would describe someone with a larger-than-life personality, almost like a character out of a story, a movie, a comic book, or possibly even ridiculous like a cartoon. Someone with a lot of personality whose behavior might attract a lot of attention, who always seems to have a lot of drama going on in their life. You know, their relationship often have very dramatic twists and turns. And certainly when you're in the environment of a person with a larger-than-life personality, you will always always be entertained. You might not always enjoy what's going on because of that person, but it will never be boring. So, of course, a person like this might, especially if they're famous, result in countless memes, those little internet pictures with little jokes or comments on them, often made to sort of make people laugh or to share an emotion and see if people agree, and then you can share the meme on your Facebook or your Instagram or something like that. So there's a lot of these different characters that we've become familiar with. Often we don't know where they started, but we have probably liked or shared them at some time. So because of this, it's made him a much-loved celebrity. He's very popular, and even if people don't think he's the greatest actor, they might find him a very interesting person. So let's take a closer look at the life and career of this iconic star as we get into the second part of the article. Born in Long Beach, California in 1964, Cage comes from a family of filmmakers. His uncle is the legendary director Francis Ford Coppola. Cage began acting in the 1980s and quickly made a name for himself with his intense, often unpredictable performances. From the crime comedy Raising Arizona to the romantic drama Leaving Las Vegas, he's played a wide range of characters, earning praise and masses of fans along the way.
第二部分我们介绍形容词 unpredictable， 它指的是不可预测的或是难以预料的。例如 Police officers were wary of the criminal because of his unpredictable behavior. 由于那名罪犯的行径难以预料，警员们小心提防。或者 You need to be careful when climbing the mountain because of the unpredictable weather. 由于天气令人捉摸不定，爬山的时候你得小心。
Okay, the second part of the article begins by saying, born in Long Beach, California in 1964, Cage comes from a family of filmmakers. His uncle is the legendary director Francis Ford Coppola. Okay, I do remember, I think I read somewhere that Nicolas Cage's original name is actually Nicholas Coppola.
Yeah.
So yes, indeed, he was born in California, Long Beach, which is a big city outside of LA, and that was way back in 1964. And a filmmaker is a person who makes films. Could be the director, but they also do other things in the production of a film.
Producers could also be described as filmmakers. Basically, anyone whose job is in the entertainment business and making films, from an actor to a camera person, things like that. So there's a long history of this in his family. And of course, yes, his uncle is the legendary director Francis Ford Coppola, director of the Godfather trilogy, Apocalypse Now, many other great, famous, classic films. And that's why we describe him as legendary. Legendary, in this case, kind of doesn't mean coming from myths and legends like dragons or the Loch Ness Monster. No, we just mean very, very famous and very widely respected. His uncle has won, I think, numerous Oscar awards. Anytime he makes a movie, it's always a big story. You know, people always anticipate his work because he's so famous, so well known, and so impactful. Also, such a famous person who many people look up to in their career as filmmakers. It says Cage began acting in the 1980s and quickly made a name for himself with his intense, often unpredictable performances. Yeah, so he's been acting from a very young age. So even as a young man, he was making a lot of movies and a lot of well-known movies, not necessarily big budget action films, but widely respected and critically acclaimed films. And so that's how he made a name for himself. When you kind of get famous, you make a name for yourself. You get fame and probably respect in the industry because of his powerful performances.
That's right, and he made a name for himself with his intense, often unpredictable performances. If something's intense, it has a large amount of energy, so he had some roles that were very significant, and when you watched him on the screen, you thought, wow, that guy's really cool, he's really intense. And also, we're using the word unpredictable to describe his performances. If something's unpredictable, you just don't know what's going to happen. So if you go to a movie and you know that Nicolas Cage is starring in that movie, you're not really sure what he's going to do in that movie because he is unpredictable. Or we could describe the weather as being unpredictable. Even though we hear the weather forecast all the time, still the weather seems to have a mind of its own.
That's true. From the crime comedy Raising Arizona to the romantic drama Leaving Las Vegas, he's played a wide range of characters, earning praise and masses of fans along the way. So these are a couple of his earlier films. Raising Arizona, directed by the famous Coen brothers, who've gone on to make many other well-known movies, including Fargo. The romantic drama Leaving Las Vegas. So that was a very powerful film where he plays a suicidal writer who's trying to drink himself to death. It's quite a powerful and interesting movie. He's played a wide range of characters, a great variety of characters, from good guys to bad guys, from comedy to tragedy, that type of thing. Really has a wide range of acting ability too, as demonstrated by this wide range or big variety of characters. And he's earned praise and masses of fans along the way. Yes, critics love him, fans love him, and of course the box office has tended to love him in some of his movies. A lot of them have made a lot of money.
Yeah, I think I remember him in that movie with John Travolta, Face Off.
Oh, yeah.
You may remember that. That was an action kind of movie.
Sure.
I went to the theater here in Taipei to watch that many years ago, but I got kind of tired of watching it because they just had too many chase scenes.
Oh, okay.
I think it was directed by a famous Hong Kong
John Woo, yes,
yeah,
indeed.
and I think he's known for that. But in any case, that's an example of one of the movies he's starred in. I think I also remember some early films. Birdie, I don't know if you've seen that before.
Oh, okay.
And then also Rumblefish. He was in the movie Rumblefish along with Matt Dillon.
I think that was a Francis Ford Coppola movie, wasn't it?
It indeed was. And that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the third part. We'll listen to it first.
Despite his success, however, Cage has had his fair share of financial troubles. Notorious for his extravagant spending habits, the actor has made some rather unusual purchases, including a dinosaur skull, a haunted mansion, and an 11th century German castle that he bought for more than $2 million. Then, in 2009, Cage was hit with a lawsuit over $6.2 million in unpaid taxes. He soon began selling his assets to pay off his debts, but that wouldn't be enough to get him out of the hole he dug for himself.
第三部分我们看到形容词 notorious， 它的意思是恶名昭彰的、声名狼藉的。举例来说 ，The bar was notorious for being frequented by gangsters。这间酒吧因常有帮派分子出入而恶名昭彰。又或者说 ，The police arrested the notorious bank robber。警察逮捕了那位恶名昭彰的银行抢匪。下一个我们介绍名词 mansion， 它的意思是豪宅、宅邸或是大厦。例如 The famous actor lives in a mansion with a swimming pool and movie theater。那位知名的演员住在一座拥有游泳池和电影院的豪宅里。又或者说 Many of the mansions on the coast are worth at least $10 million。许多沿海的豪宅都至少价值1000万美元。最后我们看到单字 asset， 它是名词，指的是资产或是财产。例如 The couple's assets included a large house by the lake and 2 cars。 那对夫妻的资产包括一个湖边的大房子和2辆车。最后一个例子 When the company went bankrupt, all of its assets were sold。 当那间公司破产时，它的所有资产都被卖掉了。
Okay, so remember, we're talking about the ups and downs of the career of Nicolas Cage. And despite his success, however, Cage has had his fair share of financial troubles. So even though he is successful, even though he has made a lot of money, still he's had some troubles. We're saying his fair share of financial troubles. If you have your fair share of something, then you just have troubles like everybody else does. Lots of people struggle to make a living, to save enough money money to buy their house, to buy their car, to save for retirement. So, yeah, you may not believe this, but he actually has had some money trouble.
That's indeed. He really has. And some of this has also kind of gotten headlines. Notorious for his extravagant spending habits, the actor has made some rather unusual purchases, including a dinosaur skull, a haunted mansion, and an 11th century German castle that he bought for more than $2 million. All right, things that I have never been able to do because I don't have a lot of money like a famous Hollywood actor, but some of these purchases, as you can see, are rather strange, and they kind of got him fame for being weird and strange, and that's a pretty good definition of notorious. As someone who's notorious, they're famous for something that maybe is not the best thing in the world, maybe not the most admirable thing. It's kind of like infamous. You're famous for something that is maybe not the best thing to be famous for. So he's definitely known as a guy who's had money problems, who's bought some of these strange things. And if you look at it, 20 years after the fact, you might say, oh, he's wasted a lot of his money with his extravagant spending habits. So he's kind of famous for throwing his money away on these really strange and over-the-top things. Extravagant is a word we would often use for things that are beyond what most people would call normal. If you have a wedding and you have a 500-table banquet and you have a full orchestra playing the music and it's held on a private island in Hawaii and the bride's dress is made of gold or something like that, a lot of people would say, wow, that's over the top, that's rather extravagant, and like buying a dinosaur skull, it probably costs a lot of money.
Yeah, who would want to buy something like that? So again, he's notorious for his extravagance. You could say that's the noun. Extravagant is the adjective. Back to notorious here, I could say, for example, this intersection is notorious for its high number of accidents. It's famous for kind of a wrong reason, and Nicolas Cage is well known or notorious for his extravagant spending habits. And yes, indeed, he's made some unusual purchases. For example, a dinosaur skull. The skull is the bone head, or the head bone of the body. When you think of the Day of the Dead in Mexico, of course, they always use the skull as a common symbol of that.
That's right, or on a pirate flag. We would often call a pirate flag the skull and crossbones. Of course, in the middle is that big bone from the head, a dinosaur skull. So you can imagine, the skull of a Tyrannosaurus Rex or something, as you might see it in a natural history museum. He bought one of those, probably for not a small amount of money. I don't know what you do with the dinosaur skull, but I imagine it made a very interesting decoration in his home. And maybe he put it in his haunted mansion. Okay, Hollywood celebrity to live in a mansion is not too shocking because a mansion is just a very large, very opulent, very fancy kind of home. It's not quite a castle or a palace, but it's definitely getting into that territory. If you have millions of dollars and a lot of land and you build a big house on it, you could probably describe it as a mansion. It will have garage parking for several cars, maybe a pool, maybe 8 bedrooms and 15 bathrooms. That's the kind of thing. But if it's a really old mansion, or maybe if something just terrible happened in it, it could be extra special by being haunted. If something is haunted, we're talking about a physical location, a house, a castle, a church, a hospital or something, but ghosts and spirits live there and they're bothering people. They're sort of lost spirits who potentially had something terrible happen to them in that place a long time ago. And if you believe in ghosts and this type of thing, then you might believe that their spirits are still there. They haven't gone off to heaven or wherever. They're staying in that place and they're bothering people. Of course, haunted mansions, haunted houses are a staple of horror fiction and horror movies and that type of thing. So apparently there was this big old house and people said that there were ghosts living in it. There's your haunted mansion and there's Nicolas Cage pulling out his checkbook.
Indeed. I guess he had a lot of money at the time to purchase such a thing.
Or just really wanted to live with a ghost.
Really, to challenge himself, I guess, to a new kind of role. Maybe it would have resulted in a movie or something like that. And he also bought this German castle from the 11th century, and that cost him $2 million. So yeah, if you'd like to have yourself an old German castle, then that's the price you might pay for something like that. Then in 2009, Cage was hit with a lawsuit over $6.2 million in unpaid taxes.
Ouch.
Okay, so a lawsuit, of course, is legal action from somebody. They sue you, they take you to court short. In this particular case, he did not pay taxes to the IRS like he was supposed to, and they went after him. They said, hey, Mr. Cage, you owe us $6.2 million in back taxes.
Now, that could have been a crime, or it could have just been bad accounting by someone he was paying, but I can imagine that he probably doesn't have all of those strange things we just saw. A lot of them probably had to be sold to pay back the money for those unpaid taxes. And it says he soon began selling his assets to pay off his debts, but that wouldn't be enough to get him out of the hole he dug for himself. And it's true, often when you end up with a huge tax bill like that, it's something that will take a long time to pay off. But he did start by selling his assets. Assets are basically things that you own that have some kind of significant monetary value. Your home would be your biggest asset, probably. Your car could be an asset. Other things like jewelry or gold that you might have locked up somewhere could be assets. These are the types of things you might use as collateral if you're getting a loan from a bank. You might be able to sell them if you need money, or you can pass them on to your children as you get older or something like that. These assets have a lot of financial value, and they allow you a bit of freedom because if things go wrong, you can always sell off your car or something like that to pay off debts, for example, if you have a big tax bill. But even by selling off his haunted mansions and whatnot, he couldn't pay off his debts, and it wasn't enough to get him out of the hole he dug for himself. Yeah, often when we get into financial trouble, we describe it as being in a hole. It's like you're digging your way down when you should be on the surface of the earth. You're now down in a hole, and it's harder and harder as you get deeper and deeper to climb out of that hole or to get out of that debt.
And we'll continue talking about Nicolas Cage in our next program, but right now we're going to hear from Hanny, our beloved Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第二部分最后一句有提到 He's played a wide range of characters, earning praise and masses of fans along the way. 他饰演了各式各样的角色，一路上获得赞誉及众多粉丝。那么 along the way 原本它可以指沿途，在路上，那它可以引申表达在过程中，表达说在某事物发展的过程中。那我们来造两个例句。They stopped at a convenience store along the way to get some coffee. 就是说他们有在途中的便利商店停留买咖啡。那再看个例句是 Success is rarely achieved without failure along the way. 成功的路上难免会遭遇失败，就是说你很少会没有失败就达到成功，也就是说我们说的这个难免会遭遇失败的意思咯。好，另外课文里面它用到 a wide range of characters 来表达各式各样的角色。那么 a range of something 是表达一系列的什么什么，我们可以用 a wide range, a whole range, a broad range, a full range 等等，后面加 of 加名词去表达有种类多元的各式各样的什么什么。举例来说The shop sells a broad range of toys. 那间店有卖各式各样的玩具。好，那这边也顺便补充其他可以表达各式各样的说法。第一种呢，是可以用 a variety of 加名词去表达各种的什么，各式各样的什么。这时候 variety 它的前面也可以加上形容词，像 wide, large, great 等等。举例来说There are a wide variety of food options on the menu. 菜单上有各式各样的食物可以选。好，那第二个说法是你可以用 all kinds of, all sorts of 或者是 all types of. 还有一个是 all manner of. 这些都可以表达各式各样的什么什么。特别注意我们刚刚说的 kind, sort 跟 type 它们都是用复数嘛， all kinds, all sorts, all types of。 可是这里的 all manner of 这个 manner 在这用法当中是固定用单数，像我们可以用 all manner of musical instruments 来表达各式各样的乐器。 好，再看到课文第3部分提到，在2009年，尼可拉斯凯吉因为没缴620万美元的税而诉讼缠身，那他很快就开始卖他的资产来清偿债务。文中是用 pay off 来表达清偿或是偿还的意思，那么这时候 pay off 是做及物用，我们就可以用 pay something off 或者是 pay off something 去表达。举例来说 It took them 30 years to pay off their mortgage. 他们花了30年把房贷还清。好，那补充一下 pay off 做不及物用的时候，则表示取得好结果，取得成功。这是用来表达所做的事情有了回报，终于获得成功的意思。举例来说 All of their hard work has finally paid off. 他们所有的努力终于获得回报。好，以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Legendary. LeBron James is a legendary basketball player. Intense. His intense determination to succeed led him to work tirelessly towards his goal. Notorious. The city's downtown area is notorious for its high crime rates. Skull. The poster for the heavy metal band's show features a flaming skull. Haunt. Zachary's memories of the accident haunted him for years afterwards. Mansion. The rich lawyer's mansion was the biggest and most impressive house on the block. Lawsuit. The famous actor filed a lawsuit against the magazine for publishing false stories about her. Asset. The company's intellectual properties are its most valuable assets.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.